welcome to another green marble crochet tutorial. For this tutorial, I'm just going to be showing you how to make this crescent moon granny square. So that's what we're making. We're going to be doing this. Yes. So this is going with all the other squares that I'm making in this series for a Halloween blanket that I'll be making up this year, probably after Halloween. I don't know, sometime. I've got a lot else of other things coming I've got a lot of other things coming up that I'm really excited to be sharing with you. So I've got a Halloween costume that I'm making for this year, and that's going to be part of the Halloween competition that I'll be doing every year. I did one last year, so I've got this one this year as well. Yes, so I'm very excited about that. I've worked really hard on it, and I'm finally proud of the results. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you very soon. Alright, yeah, so that's it. You could probably just get straight into making this. If you haven't subscribed, but you would like to subscribe to join me for some more tutorials, I would love to have you join me. A big thank you to my patrons. Thank you for your support. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching my videos. If you need to get in contact with me very quickly for anything, look for me on Instagram. I'm the_green_marble. And I'll be able to help you out there very quickly with whatever you need help with. Yeah, I think that's it. Very short intro this time. So yes, we just get straight into making this. Alright, so we're going to begin by having a quick look at the tiny details on the labels of the yarns that we're using. So for this one, for the black, this is just the yarn that is. It's the label for that. If you need more time to have a look at anything, just pause the video quickly. Have a look. So that's that. And here are the tiny relevant details for that. So for this, it's saying that I should be using a 3 to a 3.5 millimeter hook. However, because the predominant yarn that we're using is this for the square, and this is the label for that one. Let's have a look at this. It's handmade. I love this yarn, it's so beautiful. So these are the tiny relevant details. No, where are they? Here they are. They're really small. Alright, so here you can see that for this yarn, it's saying I should use a 6 or a 7 millimeter hook. So I'm using my 6. Using my 6 millimeter for this. Same as the other squares that I've been making. Just going to do them all in the same format, you know. Alright, so having said that, what we're going to do is we're going to start with this. I'm just going to get straight into it. So to begin, what we do is we find the end of our yarn. It's a little tangled, but it's going to be okay. There we go. Alright, now finding the end of our yarn, we're going to start by making a slip knot. So to make a slip knot, you take the yarn like this, and you focus the camera like this, and then with the thumb and the index finger of your right hand, you're going to take hold of the end. Then with the index finger and the middle finger of your left hand, you're going to wind the working end of the yarn round like this, take hold and pull through that loop. And I'm not going to make the tail very long because I like to crochet that in as I go along, as I'm putting in the first stitches. So what you do then is you adjust that loop to your hook and pull the working end tight, just like that. Alright, so to begin, we're going to make a chain of 4. So chain stitch is yarn over, pull through the loop, so that's 1 chain, yarn over, pull through the loop, that's 2 chains, yarn over, pull through, 3 and 4. And now what we're going to do is, working our way back to the beginning of that small chain, you're going to slip stitch into that first chain right at the beginning. So you see there's like the V of the chain. You're going to slip stitch into the top part of that for that very first chain. Yarn over, pull through, and then pull through that last chain. And now you've closed that little circle and you've made a small chain circle. So what you're going to do now is we're working in double crochet. So you chain up 2, 1, and 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to put 10 double crochets into the center of that chain circle. So for a double crochet, it is yarn over. You're going to pull that circle so that you can see the center. So you can see the center just there. You're going to go into that center with your hook, yarn over like this, pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So that's 1 double crochet. And we're going to be putting 10 of those, just like I said, into the center of that chain circle. So there's 2 and 3. So I'll meet back up with you once we've done our 10 double crochets, and we'll move on to round 2. All right, now here I am at the end of that round. I've got my 10 double crochets into that center of that chain circle. So what we're going to do now is we're going to find that chain of 2 just there from the beginning, and we're going to slip stitch into the stitch at the top of that. So that stitch just there, you see there's a V on the top of each stitch. So you're going to go beneath both parts of that V, yarn over, pull through the loop, slip stitch to that last stitch just there at the end of the round. All right, moving on to round 2. So what we're going to do at this point, I'm going to tilt the camera down slightly because I'm going to lay this flat just like that with the back of the work facing. I'm going to grab the end of my black yarn just here. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to bring it around here. Try not to get tangled. You're just going to sort of very gently tie this black thread to the purple one like this, and just make a sort of a little bit of a knot there, but try and tie it as close to the stitch as you possibly can. So just down like that, and there we go. So that's tied on. Good stuff. All right, let's tilt the camera back up. Try and reorganize myself. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're just sort of going to crochet bits in as we go along, but you can leave the working end of this black to the side while you move on till you're going to need it. So just crochet the loose bit in. So you can do that by holding it against the back of the work like this. Then you are grabbing hold of that purple like so. Then you're going to chain up 2, so 1 and 2. And you're going to put 2, okay, so we're increasing for the preceding rounds until we turn it into a square. And for round 2, it's always 2 double crochets into every stitch. However, we are going to be working in the beginning of the moon, so that is going to turn up at some point. All right, so for the first one, double crochets into that first stitch just there. And also just count 2 to make sure you've got enough stitches going all the way around. So we're working into that stitch right beneath that chain of 2 just there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that's good because I'm not working into that very last chain right there beneath the chain of 2 on that side. We're going to be working into the first one beneath the chain of 2. So we're going to put 2 double crochets into that first stitch. So 1 and 2. And then moving on, we're going to put 2 double crochets into the next stitch, working that loose end in as I go along. 2 into the next stitch, so 1 and 2. All right, now for the next stitch, what we're going to do is we're going to be dropping the purple, and you're counting 2 stitches back, so 1 and 2. You're going to angle your hook around and go through into that stitch. You're going to pick up the working end of the black yarn, pull it yarn over, pull a stitch through, and then stretch it over to meet where you are. So you're not stretching it that far, but just over to that point. Now what you're going to do is you're dropping that black yarn. You're going to pick up the purple, yarn over, and you're just going to do the next stitch along. So make sure you're pulling it loose enough that it's not bunching up. You don't want it to be too tight. So next stitch, which is the first into this next stitch of 2 stitches into the same stitch, so 1, and then you're going to put another one in, 2. Now for the next stitch, what you're going to do is you're angling your hook back again, counting 2 back, 1 and 2. You're going to go into that stitch like so. Drop that purple, grab hold of the black yarn, pull through a loop, stretch it over to meet where you are. And you'll be and then you drop your purple, the black strand, yarn over with the purple, go into the next stitch. So do pull that fairly loose so it's coming up to meet where you are. And then you've got those, so yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the remainder of that stitch. So the end of that double crochet for each of these double crochets that we're doing here has the black strand in the middle of the 2 final loops on the hook. So we'll do that again together. So we've got another stitch into this stitch here, another free stitch. Now you're counting 2 back, 1, 2, angling your hook around, going in above that black strand or the black loop, go into the stitch like so, drop the purple, grab the black strand, pull through a loop, stretch it over to meet where you are, drop that black strand, yarn over with the purple, go into the next stitch. So you're going into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through those 2 purple loops, yarn over, pull through the remainder of the stitch with that black thread in the middle. All right, so that's that, and that's how we're working towards the end of, well, to the end of the round pretty much. So we've got another stitch into this one just here. So even if this is too loose, what you can do at that point is just pull it a little bit tighter so that it's sitting sort of flush against the circle. So we've done that. Now we're angling our hook back and going into that second stitch back along. Yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, go into the stitch, double crochet like so. All right, so do this to the end of the round, and I think you'll find that once you get to the 19th stitch, I'll meet you at the 19th stitch and we'll finish up together, because by the end of this round, because you're increasing by 2 stitches per stitch, you're going to end up with 20 stitches, but I'll meet you on the 19th stitch and we'll close up together. Alright, so here I am about to put in my 19th stitch, and that is going to be another one where I angle back and go into the second stitch backwards, yarn over with that black, pull up a black strand, and drop the black strand, yarn over, double crochet, so that's 19, and then in beside that stitch, we've got the 20th stitch. And what we do from here is we just slip stitch into the stitch at the top of that chain 2 at the beginning again. So there's that chain of 2, just into the stitch above that, yarn over, slip stitch, just like that. All right, moving on to round 3. All right, now what we're going to do at this point is we're going to make sure that this working end of the black strand is twisted up and hooking around that purple strand, just to make sure it comes up to where you are. So now what you're going to do with the black strand like that, you're just going to chain 2, so 1 and 2. Now for this round, for the increases, what you're doing is you're putting 2 stitches into every first stitch, 1 stitch into the next stitch along. So the pattern is 2, 1, 2, 1 to the end of the round. So I'll show you, and I'm going to work this in as I go along till I get to this stitch that holds that first black strand from the previous round. So I'll show you what I mean by that. We're going to yarn over, put 2 double crochets into that first stitch, so 1 and 2, then into the next stitch along we're just going to put 1 double crochet, just like this. So now what I'm going to do at this point is I'm just going to leave that black strand behind. We're just going to push it aside there like that. Into the next one, we're going to put 2 double crochets into the same stitch. So 1 and 2. So what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Into the next stitch, we're just going to put a single double crochet. So getting a bit tangled. So 1 double crochet into that next stitch. So that's going to give us 6 stitches along. So that's going to be the repetitions of increase that you're doing till the end of the round. And that's going to bring you to a stitch count of 30 stitches. So I am going to stick with you for a lot of this because This one is slightly more complicated than the previous round. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to put 2 double crochets into the next stitch. So that's going to be stitch number 7, and try not to go around any of that black strand from the previous round. So just into the purple part of that stitch. So that's 7 and 8. And moving along for the 9th stitch, what we're going to do is you're going to pull that loop up so it's a bit loose. You're going to drop that loop. You're going to go into this previous stitch down here. So that would be stitch number 1, 2. Yeah, okay, so that's stitch number 3. That holds that black strand from the previous round. So you're going to go into that part just there. You're going to grab hold of the black yarn, pull up a loop, stretch that right up to meet where you are. And holding onto that like that with your thumb so that you make sure that black strand doesn't get twisted. You take it off your hook, readjust to that purple loop, put your hook back through the black strand, pull that purple loop tight, then yarn over, go into the next, so this is going to be stitch number 9, next stitch along, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, finish up that stitch. So stitch number 9 holds the first part of the black strand of that, and if that's too tight you can just pull it a little bit and it will pull it flush against the circle. So moving on, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. So you're going to yarn over, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. So this is stitch number 10, double crochet. That's stitch number 10. And this stitch is going to be holding 2 stitches. However, we're also doing the moon. So what we do is we drop that stitch, making sure it's loose so it doesn't come undone. Now what you need to do is we're going into the second stitch back. So we're counting that one, and then that one will be the second stitch back. But what you need to do is you need to hook under the black loops just there. You need to go into the stitch like this. Then you're grabbing hold of that black strand all the way down there. You're going to pull it up to meet where you are. I don't want it to be unfocused. So you're pulling that black strand up to meet where you are, like so. Yarn over, and you pull it through and pull it over to meet where you are, just like that. And keeping your finger on the strand, you're just going to unhook the loop, go through the purple, well actually it's sort of purpley green now, and go back through that black loop. And then you're just going to double crochet, and remember you're putting another double crochet into that stitch, so I think that's going to be stitch number 11. So that's stitch number 11. Now you've got 1 stitch into the next stitch, and that's going to be stitch number 12. And once again you're going to be dropping that stitch, and you are hooking up beneath those black strands, the black loop, just like so, going into that second stitch back, yarn over with the black just there at the back, pull through a loop, stretch it over to meet where you are. So you will be repeating this up until you get to stitch number 24. So the next stitch is going to hold 2 stitches, so I think that will be, what have we got? We've got, that was 10, 11, 12, hang on, no, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, so this is stitch number 13. And then you've got your next stitch, so stitch number 14 going into that same stitch. So you can see that you've got 1 stitch, 1 free stitch before you create your next spoke of your moon or your next loops of your moon. So then you just drop that stitch, you go in beneath the loops of that those previous black strands, go into that second stitch back, so you can see there's 1, 2, going in beneath that, you're going to yarn over with the working end of that black strand, pull through that loop, pull it across to meet where you are, drop that loop, go back through the purple, back through that black one, pull that purple a little bit tight, yarn over, next stitch along. So I think this stitch is stitch number 15. I should be right. Yep, that's stitch number 15. So then next stitch along will be 16. So repeat this process until you get to stitch 24. We'll meet back up and we're going to finish up down there together, because that is once again slightly different and a little more complicated. All right, I'll see you at that point. All right, now here I am putting in stitch 24. So there's my 24th stitch just there. So that's what that's starting to look like. All right, so what we're going to do, oh, no. What we're going to do is we're going to start the next one. So this is going to be the 25th stitch. So you're going to hook under those loops just there, go into that second stitch back, yarn over with the black, itchy nose, yarn over with the black, pull through a loop, but don't pull it too loose. So you're pulling it to just there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to make sure the purple is to the back of that black loop just there. So push it to the back. You're going to go into this stitch just here that holds the final black strand at the end just here from the previous round. You're going to yarn over with the black, go through that stitch, yarn over with the black just there, pull up a loop, sort of pull it up to meet where you are just here. Then you're going to yarn over with the black, pull through those 2 black loops like so. Now what you're going to do is hold on to that just there like this. You're going to drop that black loop, pick up the purple one again. So let's make sure we've got, yep. Pick up the purple one again, go back through that black loop. Now here's where it gets a little bit tricky. What you need to do is you need to yarn over with the purple. You need to go in behind all of this sort of messy looking stuff just here. Go into the next stitch just there. You can go around that black stitch or that black loop just to the back there. It doesn't really matter. You yarn over with that, pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now that is stitch 25. So don't worry about all this stuff just here at the moment. So what you're going to do is yarn over, put stitch 26 into that same stitch, because that's the increase of the repetition of the increases. You're going to go in beside that 25th stitch into that same stitch, double crochet again. So that's stitch 26. Now if you push aside just here, push aside all that mess, you can see there's a little stitch just in there. Don't miss that stitch. That's the 27th one. You're going to yarn over, you're going to go into that stitch again. You can go around that black loop at the back, double crochet around that stitch. Now what you can do at this point is you grab the working end of the black yarn and you pull it to the side like this at the back. So you don't need to worry about it, you're just pushing it aside. So now you're going to go into the next stitch along just there, which is the stitch that holds the bottom part of this sort of long messy looking stitch that you've done. It looks good at the end, don't worry. So into the next stitch, you've got stitch 27, 28, 29, 2, and then you've got your last stitch, stitch number 30, into that final stitch just there. So there we go. All right, and then you can sort of pull that black and tight, and that finishes up your moon just there like that. So that looks pretty good. That's not too bad, not too bad at all. All right, so what we're going to do at this point, actually you can sort of pull it down as well, pull it down this way, pull it down like that, and that sort of makes it look neater. And once you lay it flat, it'll look even better. Anyway, so what you're going to do at this point is you're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 2, the stitch at the top, to close the round. So let's lay this flat, have a look at what it looks like. All right, so actually it actually looks pretty good. Yeah, that's good. I like that. We're doing well. All right, so at this point, what you're going to do is you readjust yourself again. Yeah, like that. All right, we're going to once again grab onto that black, which is good because it pulls it across like this. You're going to make sure that's twisted up just at the back there with the purple green at this point. You're going to chain up 2. Now for this round, we're not doing anything with the black. We're just going to put that aside and not worry about it. So the repetitions for this round, is because we're increasing once again, are going to be 2 stitches into the first stitch, so 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets into that first stitch, 1 stitch into the next stitch along, and then into the stitch after that, 1 stitch. So that's the pattern for this round. It goes 2, 1, 1, then you'll be doing that again, 2 stitches into that next stitch, and then 1 into the next stitch, and pushing aside that black just there, and 1 into the stitch after that. And that's going to bring you to a stitch count of 40. So when you get to the end of the round, we're going to meet back up and we're going to turn this circle into a square. All right, see you at that point. All right, now here I am at the end of the round and I've got my 40 double crochets all the way around. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop that, it's kind of yellow-purple now, yellow-purple to the side. I'm going to bring up the black strand at the back just there. I'm going to go into the stitch above that chain of 2 from the beginning. I'm going to go in just there. Yarn over with the black strand and slip stitch. So I'm slip stitching with that black strand. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find my scissors. Here they are. I'm going to cut the colourful strand. So cut that colourful one. We'll just tie that off later. We're not going to worry about it right now. What we're going to do now is we're going to put our scissors away. We're going to pick this up. Now, from that slip stitch with the black strand, what you're going to do is you're going to chain up 1. And into that first, okay, so I'm going to be showing you this in corners. So when I've done that, you can just complete the rest of it. So each corner is like this. Straight from that chain of 1, you're going to go into the next stitch with a single crochet. So it's going to be 1 single crochet. Then into the next stitch along, it's going to be 1 single crochet. Then into the next stitch along, it's going to be a half double crochet. So half double crochet is yarn over, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 of those loops. That's a half double crochet. So into the next stitch, you're going to put a double crochet. So 1 double crochet into that next stitch. Now into, there's a knot just there. That's okay, just pull it tight, won't matter. So into the next stitch along, we're going to put 3 double crochets into the same stitch. So there's going to be 1, 2, and 3 double crochets into that stitch. Get rid of that cat fur. Oh. So we've got 3 double crochets into that stitch. Now what we do is we chain 1, and into the next stitch along we put 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3. Into the next stitch along we put 1 double crochet. So 1 double crochet. Into the next stitch along we put a half double crochet. So 1 half double crochet. Into the next stitch it's going to be a single crochet, 1 single crochet, and into the next stitch along 1 single crochet. So that's the pattern that you're following all the way around. It's single crochet, half double crochet, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, single crochet. So that's what you're doing, and you'll have obviously 4 sets of those. I'll meet you at the end of the square round. We'll close up together, and that's going to be it. All right, see you soon. All right, here we are at the end of the square. So I've done all my corners. That's what this is going to start to look like. I think that looks pretty good. I'm really quite happy with that. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to find that chain of 1 that we did at the beginning. So that just there. And there's that stitch at the top of that. So what we're going to do is just slip stitch into the stitch above the chain of 1. Like so. Pull that tight. Now what you're going to do is chain 1, pull that sort of a little tight. Find your scissors again. Let's angle this down slightly. Again, you're just going to cut that yarn like so. Put that to the side and then just pull through that chain. Hang on. Camera's not focusing well. It doesn't like doing that. Anyway, pull that chain through like that. Pull tight. Come on. All right, that'll do. All right, yes, there we are. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to just grab a slightly smaller hook, and by slightly I mean 3mm. I'm going to turn to the back just here, and you're just going to do this. So find this, there's a stitch just there that you can go beneath of that colourful thread, colourful strand. You're going to yarn over with that like colourful loose end, pull through a loop, then yarn over, chain, and pull that through, pull tight. So you've secured that now. There we go. So that's it. That's it. We're done. We're done with that. So there's our moon. I love these. I'm really happy. I'm really happy with all of these. They're so much fun. So yes, so far this is what we've got. If we're doing the blanket together, this is where we are. So let's just do this again. Yes, that's nice. All right, we've got our moon, we've got our star, and we've got our cobweb. I've done up a whole bunch of all of these, so I'm just gonna, I think I'm doing 2 of each of them. I want to do another motif, another something. I was thinking either a black cat. Somebody mentioned, what is it? It's called a hamster hand, something, a hand. I don't know. I can't remember. Or there was something else that I was thinking about. I don't know, I'll come up with something maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll just do these 3. Either way, all the different coloured yarns and just this whole idea is very cozy and very fun. And I love it. Alright, I hope you've enjoyed this moon tutorial. I think we'll meet back up at some point once I've done up all the squares, and I'll show you how I'm joining them. And yeah, we'll put together a nice blanket. Alright, thanks for watching, and might see you again soon. Yeah, well, I will see you again soon for something else, but maybe for another square. Who knows? Alright, thanks for watching. See you soon.